Did you know the barbershop is often also a sanctuary? Interesting, isn't it?
Indeed, it leaves you curious. I've always thought of barbershops as a social place for a chit-chat while getting a trim.
That's true to an extent, Nari. But here we're digging deeper, past the haircuts and shaves. These simple, unassuming places often double up as emotional refuge spots, a tight-knit community forming amidst the hum of clippers and the scent of shaving cream.
Fascinating. Being from a different cultural background, it's difficult to picture. Can you draw me a scene based on your experience?
Imagine stepping into a place filled with the rhythm of lively banter and laughter. A space where everyone knows your name. You get your hair styled while discussing everything from baseball to politics. Over time, you find yourself being a part of a community, sharing your troubles, life triumphs. And that's when you realize this is more than just a place for a haircut. This is a sanctuary.
That's a beautiful picture, Juan. I guess it's these everyday places that truly define a city, shaping its culture and vibe.
Picture this, Nari. Bronx, summer of '95, a patron walks into this barbershop. This guy's an opera lover, right? So he starts humming a Puccini tune mid-shave.
And the barber just joins him in this symphony?
Exactly. That's the beauty of these places. There's no judgment, you're free to be yourself. Speaking of being yourself, there was this one young guy, just a college freshman from Puerto Rico, much like me when I joined Hunter College. He walked into the barber shop one day, noticeably silent while others were engaged in passionate debates about NY Yankees.
Must have felt quite out of place. What happened next?
Well, the barber, a seasoned one named Joe, noticed his silence amidst the buzz. He asked him why he was so quiet, and the kid confessed sheepishly about his newfound love of slam poetry.
Oh, interesting. That's not a common share.
Right? But here's the catch. Instead of dismissing him or laughing, Joe encouraged the young man to share one of his poems.
And he did, in the middle of a barbershop.
Yes, he did. Right there in the middle of the barbershop, sprouting verses of personal reflections amidst the potent scent of aftershave and amidst an audience of regular folks, showing vulnerability in a testosterone-pumped room.
Wow, that sounds touching. How did the guys take it?
They listened, they clapped, and incredibly they shared their own stories. It wasn't just about the kid anymore. It became a gathering of people opening up their hearts under the dim light of bulbs, the mirrors reflecting not just their physical selves, but their stories, their triumphs and struggles. That was the day the barbershop turned into a sanctuary for them, celebrating uniqueness coupled with shared human experiences. So let's imagine Nari. It's spring 2020, the barbershop is closed due to COVID-19 protocols. The community loses this sanctuary, and the locals, they must have felt quite lost, right?
Oh yes, a significant change indeed. The barbershop, once buzzing with the sound of razors and friendly banter, now ceaselessly silent. Faced with a global pandemic, I wonder how they managed to restore the sense of community. Any ideas, Juan?
Well, I got a chance to chat with Joe, a barber himself. He told me about the changes they made to adapt. They started taking appointments on video calls. They had training sessions over Zoom, teaching people to give themselves a trim. They started an online platform for the locals to continue their lovely debates. These changes kept the community spirit alive. But Nari, this wasn't the only challenge the barbershop faced.
Let me guess, you are hinting at gentrification?
You got it. As Bronx got more developed, attracted investors, the barbershop also started to face a different crowd. There was tension, as new clients didn't really understand the culture of the barbershop. It took some time, but the shop managed to integrate the new types of people into their culture without ruining the original essence. Grooming sessions turned into insightful cultural exchanges that made the barbershop even more rich and diverse.
So the barbershop embraced the changes and kept itself glued to its age-old spirit. Just amazing. I am curious, Juan, how did these changes affect the barbers' relationships with their patrons?
It's fascinating. Patrons who had spent years sharing stories, jokes, aspirations, and hardships with their barbers now had to include others in these intimate moments. Some were resistant initially, but as they realized that the new members of the community had their own stories to add to the mix, they opened up. They seized the opportunity to learn and to help their neighbors navigate the unfamiliar terrains of their lives.
Wow, Even amidst these radical shifts in dynamics, the bonds amongst the community didn't collapse, but rather evolved in a way that retained the original essence of this neighborhood barbershop.
Nari, you know making friends as an adult is tough. It often takes shared experiences, a lot of time, and most importantly, a safe space. In that sense, wouldn't a barbershop be an ideal ground?
Well, Juan, from what I have gathered so far, yes, it certainly seems so. But in what ways are we talking just about male camaraderie?
It's more than that. You see, it isn't just about the place or the people. It's about the spirit cultivated there, one of camaraderie, openness, and understanding. The very nature of a barbershop, the sharing of stories, the banter, the human connection, it all helps foster these bonds.
So it's beyond a simple trim and chat situation. I see. And I can imagine this emotional support could be crucial in tough times. But how does this differ from other social spaces?
Oh, it does in so many ways. Think of this, you walk into a barbershop. You see familiar faces, you join a conversation, you laugh, you listen, and you share, all while getting a haircut. Now imagine doing the same in a gym or a cafe. It's different, right? The inherent personal nature of a barbershop, complemented by the therapeutic act of grooming, fosters a unique level of emotional intimacy.
I never thought of it that way. So, Juan, these rapports built, are they just, let's say, shop deep?
Well, Nari, that's the beauty. They often transcend the walls of the shop. I've heard stories of patrons helping each other out in times of need, being each other's cheerleaders, mentors, or just a shoulder to lean on. So, you see, it's about far more than men coming together for haircuts. It's a sanctum of unity, support, and genuine male friendship. Nari, it's intriguing how simple conversations in a barbershop can lead to broader community outreach initiatives. Let's consider the social issues that often crop up in these discussions.
Yes, I'm curious. These issues must include things like politics and mental health.
Absolutely. Let's take, for instance, politics. It is often a hot topic in a Bronx barbershop. The discussions aren't always about party lines and elections. They can range from housing policies, gentrification, to access to healthcare. The barbershop consequently acts as a platform for civic education.
Interesting, but how does that lead to community outreach?
A great question, Nari. The ideas exchanged often inspire patrons to take a proactive role in their communities. It can lead to involvement in public demonstrations, helping at neighborhood cleaning days, or even holding neighborhood town hall meetings.
That's impressive. Such discussions seem to incite public awareness. And mental health, how does that come in?
Well, the barbershop's intimate environment allows for these hard-to-have conversations. Men who stereotypically hesitate to express emotions can openly talk about their struggles. Whether it's stress, anxiety, or depression, the shared sense of empathy allows the barbershop to function as an emotional outlet.
Seems like a strong support system. By speaking out, do they also dismantle the stigma associated with mental health?
In many ways, yes. The willingness to share stories and lend an empathetic ear works to normalize discussions around mental health. Over time, the pattern of these conversations can inspire community initiatives around mental health awareness, potentially reaching those who might otherwise remain silent about their struggles.
That's really enlightening and very proactive. It sounds like these discussions act as a catalyst for change, reaching far beyond the walls of the barbershop.
Let's delve into our first regular patron story, a retired firefighter, who I'll refer to as Mr. Smith.
Can you tell us a bit more about Mr. Smith, Juan?
Absolutely, Nari. Before even the dawn of the city, Mr. Smith is up and about, following the disciplined routine of his firefighter days. One thing that has remained constant in his retirement is his regular visit to the barbershop.
Really? So the barbershop is a crucial part of his routine?
Correct, Nari. His visits resonate with the rhythm of the neighborhood, as predictable as the church bells. Regular patrons will attest that you could almost time your watch to Mr. Smith's appointments.
Helps to keep the day structured for him, I suppose. So what value does he get from these regular visits?
It's a sanctuary for him. The same kind of camaraderie he found in firefighter life. The same chair, the time-tested rituals of a classic shave. These build a comfort zone for him, allowing him to open up, share stories, cracking jokes, as well as tackling difficult topics. He talks about his firefighter days, his battles against dangerous fires, the joy of saving lives, and also the pain of losing fellow firefighters.
Tales of resilience and recovery, I imagine, that provide warmth to the patrons.
Indeed, Nari. His presence and his stories radiate a sense of reassurance and resilience, a testament of a life well lived. Even though he's no longer donning his firefighter uniform, the spirit remains undiminished, a living testament in the Bronx's barbershop.
Mr. Smith, a true embodiment of Bronx resilience. A retired firefighter living his life reminiscent of his active days, threading warmth and familiarity within the barbershop. Quite a wonderful example of how these community spaces contribute towards camaraderie and comfort.
Let's shift our focus now to another regular of the Bronx barbershop, a young man who finds solace in music, much like how I find serenity in mathematics. We'll call him Bart, the struggling musician.
A musician, that's an unusual character. What's his story, Juan?
Well, Nari, Bart is a talented musician, trying hard to carve out a successful career in the competitive music industry. He's had his share of struggles and has faced a lot of walls, but through it all he continues to shine bright with his music at the center of his life.
How does the barbershop fit into his life?
The barbershop is more than a place for a trim to Bart. It is a platform where he shares his musical journey, his influences, and dreams. Picture this, Nari. Bart casually strumming his guitar, harmonizing with the buzz of the clippers. It's just magical.
I can imagine that. The barbershop is a stage, huh?
Yes, and it's more than just a stage. It's a platform where Bart is able to express his struggles and future plans, stirring up debates and discussions, much like how the barbershop becomes the hub for any sports or political discussions. It really is an open environment that fosters growth, creativity, and resilience.
So it seems like the barbershop also nurtures artistic expressions and provides an engaged audience.
Absolutely, Nari. There is no shortage of critique, advice, and compliments, fueling Bart's perseverance despite the hurdles he faces. There's something uniquely inspiring about how Bart plays his tunes and draws strength from the same community that he contributes to. Let's move our focus to another regular at the Bronx barbershop, the high school basketball superstar of tomorrow, Jake.
A basketball prodigy? Sounds interesting. Tell us more, Juan.
At 16, Jake is a force to be reckoned with on the court. The Bronx is buzzing with his basketball talent, but life off the court isn't as simple. Every day is a challenge for Jake, from keeping up with his academic work to contributing to his family's income.
That's a lot for a young man to shoulder.
Indeed, Nari. It's a lot. But Jake stands tall despite these challenges. His aspirations to make it big in basketball and his unwavering dedication to his family make his journey remarkable.
And how does the Bronx barbershop fit into Jake's journey?
Well, Jake sees the barbershop as his sanctuary. It's his therapy session, locker room, and second home, all rolled into one. Amidst the hum of the razors and scissors, Jake finds the camaraderie he needs. It's the place where he can chat about his progress on the court, seek advice, and find a shoulder to lean on.
It must be refreshing for Jake to have such a supportive community.
Absolutely, Nari. The barber, regular patrons, they all form a mentoring network that's invested in his future. Their encouragement, cheering at his games, it breathes life into Jake's aspirations. Nari, what's fascinating about Bronx barbershops, beyond the haircuts and shaves, is their evolution and their cultural impact. These barbershops have changed the dynamics of the neighborhood.
I can imagine such a place transforming into a cultural cornerstone. But what kick-started this transformation, Juan?
A key catalyst was popular culture, Nari. Cultural shifts and popular trends have always had an impact on how the community interacts. Take hip-hop, born right here in the Bronx, its influence resonates in the barbershops as well. Be it sporting a haircut inspired by a favorite artist or discussions on the latest hit track, popular culture is mirrored in these communal spaces.
So these barbershops are like microcosms of the evolving Bronx culture and society?
Exactly. And let's not forget the celebrities who are regular patrons. They not only bring a spotlight to these places, but also an element of aspiration. You see, owning the same haircut as a famous artist or actor creates a unique bond with the celebrity, a sense of shared identity. This abstraction of aspiration can be so empowering for the simple folks in the neighborhood. It's a tangible representation of their feelings, dreams, and hopes.
The blend of popular culture, local traditions, aspirations, and shared identities all in one place sounds like a fascinating blend, reflecting the spirit of the city, I assume?
Undoubtedly, Nari. The barbershop concurrently mirrors and molds the spirit of the Bronx. It's the perfect portrait of how a neighborhood evolves and sustains its spirit while being influenced by devouring forces like gentrification, popular culture, and socio-economic changes. The essence, the unforgettable stories, the culture, they all converge in this local sanctuary that truly embodies the spirit of the Bronx. Nari, it's not just hair that's being cut in the Bronx barbershops. It's stereotypes, prejudices, and stigmas too.
Kindly elaborate, Juan.
You know, Nari, conversations about social issues often occur in relaxed environments where people can put forward their opinions more freely. The barbershop is one such place. The relaxed, friendly environment encourages patrons to initiate discussions on sensitive topics. It opens up dialogue about social matters that might otherwise be hard to tackle.
So it transcends a simple haircut studio and becomes an open forum for discussions. Interesting.
Indeed. I've heard tales of vibrant discussions on everything from neighborhood crime to politics to mental health, all within the walls of the Bronx barbershop. It's incredible how these conversations bloom in such places, offering residents the opportunity to learn from each other, dismantle prevalent stigma, and grow together.
And these discussions, I imagine they aren't stuck in the past, right? They prompt change?
Yes, Nari. These dialogues can quite literally change opinions. A simple conversation about, let's say, mental health can profoundly alter perceptions. Remember, Nari, these are hard-working, everyday folks. These aren't trained therapists or counselors, but community members who are managing to shift perceptions and inspire positive change through open conversations. I think that's incredibly important.
That's truly fascinating, Juan. Communal spaces like barbershops serving as catalysts for breaking down prejudices and advocating for societal understanding. It's a testament to the human capacity for growth.
It's high time we shine a light on the craftsmen behind the Bronx barbershop, the barbers themselves.
Definitely, Juan. Their unique stories and relationships with the regular patrons paint a vivid picture of the barbershop culture. I wish I could learn more about them. Do you have any insights?
Well, stepping into the shoes of a barber, it's not all cheeky banter and buzz cuts. They're more like caretakers, really. Imagine being the confidants of hard-working Bronx locals, trimming their hair, but also lending an ear to their joys, troubles. They're often the triggers for those game-changing conversations we spoke about earlier.
In a way, they're the unofficial therapists of the neighborhood, aren't they? Steeping in their customers' stories while shaping their looks for significant moments in their lives. There must be a great sense of responsibility in that, right?
Absolutely. Nari. Simultaneously, they must also face their share of struggles, like adapting to the changing landscape. From what I've heard, gentrification has brought in new challenges for them. The need to cater to a rapidly diversifying customer base, for one.
And I imagine the pandemic would have presented its own hurdles. But despite all this, there must be immense joy in witnessing the life transformations of their regular customers, isn't it?
True, Nari. It's not just about achieving the perfect fade or a sharp lineup. It's about creating an environment where people feel heard, human, and valued. The barbers of Bronx harbor an incredible sense of community spirit. Nari, can you imagine how the simple act of cutting hair could have such a profound impact on people's lives?
Honestly, Juan, as someone not familiar with barbershop culture, I hadn't given it much thought. Could you tell me more about it?
Well, at the most basic level, a good haircut can significantly boost someone's self-esteem. I mean, when you walk out of the shop with a fresh cut, with your hair styled just right, you walk a little taller, you know?
That I can understand. But it's more than just a boost in confidence, isn't it?
Absolutely. In the Bronx barbershop, a haircut can be a symbolic rite of passage. A young boy's first trip to the barbershop is a cherished tradition in many Bronx families. It's like a welcoming into a community of men. Inevitably, key moments of transition are marked here. A haircut might be a college acceptance celebration, a job interview preparation, or a reminder of normalcy during tough times. It signifies adapting to changes, embracing new roles.
So it's a shared celebration or even shared grief. That's incredibly moving. Do these milestones help to build a different level of trust between the barber and client?
They surely do, Nari. The barber-client bond is one build in the mirror view. As they witness these transformations, barbers are entrusted not just with the patron's hair, but often with their stories, dreams, and fears. It's more than just a cut. It's kind of a communal journey, one where the barber plays a pivotal role. Have you ever walked around the Bronx, Nari?
I haven't had a chance yet. Why do you ask?
Throughout its presence in history, the Bronx has individually reflected the many faces of New York City. It was initially farm country in the 1600s, before morphing into a bustling railroad town, a haven for immigrants, and into the hub of urban culture we now know.
That's quite the evolution. And the barbershop must have witnessed it all?
Absolutely, it has been a constant through many eras in the Bronx's history. The barbershop evolved along with the neighborhood, adapting to demographic shifts, societal changes, and of course, the ever-evolving trends in haircuts.
In a place that's witnessed such a range of changes, I wonder what sense of connection residents have with the barbershop.
In neighborhoods like Bronx, barbershops are not just about grooming. You see, Nari, they are social and cultural pillars, communal forums that celebrate local culture, history, and provide a place for residents to connect and communicate. In the midst of constant change, the barbershop remains a steady beacon for local folks.
That's quite remarkable. Even with all the changes, these shops have managed to maintain their essential character. I'm amused how a barbershop remains a constant yet dynamic figure in the community.
Exactly. In the weave of the Bronx tapestry, barbershop threads change their color with the times, but never lose their essence. They morph and blend, reflecting the resilient spirit of the community and always ensuring there's a spot to sit, talk, laugh, and contemplate. So, Nari, after exploring these chronicles, what's your takeaway on the cultural impact of the Bronx barbershop?
Well, Juan, it's incredible to witness the dynamic power of an ordinary establishment like a barbershop. It's clear that it serves a much greater purpose, beyond just grooming. Acting as a sanctuary, it harbors stories of resilience, bonding, community building, and personal growth. And from our discussions, it's beautifully evident how these interactions at the barbershop shape the lives of people involved.
Precisely. Often these stories get overlooked, but they hold so much power. They provide an inkling into the diversity and richness of culture and thought that makes up our city. The barbershop is like a mirror reflecting the neighborhood spirit, don't you think?
Absolutely. It's similar to how a dojo, in my experience, gives us a sense of community and purpose. But it's intriguing how a barbershop transcends that role by fostering dialogue on social issues and serving as an emotional lifeline for many. I have a newfound appreciation for these community spaces, Juan.
And just as reading a book takes you into a whole different world, these untold stories from the Bronx barbershop take us into the heart of a vibrant community. The narratives of struggle and triumph, humor and empathy, dreams and dedication, they all come together to form a captivating portrait of urban life.
It's quite an enriching experience, and vital narratives like these shape our perception of the community. These stories highlight universal experiences and emotions, becoming a bridge that helps us understand and empathize with each other.
Amen to that. They are a testament to the power of the humble barbershop. Against the digital backdrop of today's world, they preserve a certain tangible humanity that is immensely valuable. So reflecting on all this, how has your understanding of barbershops changed?
It honestly makes me see them in a completely new light. It's not just a place for grooming, but a cornerstone that shapes the community in every sense.
They really do seem to encapsulate the essence of their neighborhood. The discussions within those walls, the men sharing their hopes, dreams, it all merges together to form a vivid tapestry of community life.
Right. I can't help but appreciate even more how crucial these shared spaces are, especially in the face of our increasingly digital world. They're like living testaments to the culture of the NY community.
Agree, Nari. But wouldn't you say that digital elements could potentially enrich these spaces further? Imagine being able to share the stories, the emotions, the camaraderie that these walls have seen over the decades with the world at large.
I see where you're coming from, Juan. That could potentially foster a larger sense of community, going beyond geographic limitations. But it's important to tread carefully. It's essential to preserve the intimacy, the comfort of these physical spaces.
Absolutely, the real sense of belonging can only be found with physical interaction. And that's exactly what makes these barbershops extraordinary, isn't it? They allow space for these real interactions, provide a sense of belonging, while also acting as a chronicle of changing times.
You're right, and in doing so, they've become an invaluable asset to their communities. Here's hoping their important role in preserving history, culture, and community continues to thrive.